So you remember when we first met?
I was working at the seminary, and remember Bev, my telling you that, well, I told you later on,
Yeah.
that the administrator at the seminary, she had had an interest in me that wasn't reciprocated, and she came in right a couple days before I went to the conference in Wisconsin, across Wisconsin where we met, and said, Jim, I don't know, I'm uncomfortable with your going to this conference. It's not like the plane's going to go down, but you're going to disappear. And when she said that, my mind immediately went, oh, you mean I'm going to meet somebody? Because I had been going to conferences and had gotten all the way to the age of 50 without actually getting married, been in and out of relationship, and so as soon as I heard that, I thought, okay, we'll see.
And right when you got back, even before seeing her, you got a note.
There's a note on the desk saying, you met somebody, didn't you? So after the fact, it's like discovering that there's more going on than just the moment between you and I, but a sort of, maybe we were supposed to meet and be together.
We both had applied to this, we proposed papers to this conference, which is, what was it? It was a Race in the Humanities conference. My presentation happened to be on the very first day at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I was early.
Yeah.
And I lined up at the coffee place.
Yeah, fortunately I was a coffee addict, so I was up and there in front of the coffee urn with everybody else waiting for it to turn on.
Yeah, and you were such a loud mouth. I overheard you speaking and telling people that you were doing critical race theory and that you were headed to Denver, where I was then teaching at the University of Denver. And so right when you stepped behind me for the beeline to the coffee pot, I said, oh, I better chat with this person because I didn't know anyone.
So I don't quite know how I ended up behind you in the line, but I think you arranged that so you could turn around and talk to me. That's what I think.
You wish.
But anyway, you did, and chatted me up, and I said, all right, well, inside myself, well, let me go check her out. And you presented, and you were really good, and I was really interested.
And then when we had lunch, we sat together, and before you knew it, everybody was already done and off to the session, and we were still talking. And what was remarkable for me in that conversation was that I realized I've never been listened to as deeply as you listened to me that time. And that night, when I got back to my hotel room, I remember calling my sister and said, I met someone, and I think I gushed a little bit. Although a part of me said, I'm going to attend his sessions tomorrow, and he better not be good, because if he's good, then I'm gone.
Yeah, but you didn't do that.
No, but the next day I did go to your session, and I remember you were talking about the colonial gaze as some kind of witchcraft, and I said, wow, how can he speak about the colonized experience as if he were talking about it from inside his own experience? This white guy, right?
Yeah.
So that was really remarkable for me. And by then, I knew enough of you and your commitment. And when you changed your flight and paid the $100 fee,
I wanted to be with you, so it's not a question mark in my mind. I'll figure out how to pay the extra. And so we got on the plane, rode together, and sort of planned some things, and then got to the airport, and she said, "Okay, I'll see you in a couple days." I was like, "Whoa! I thought we were together."
Well, you and I were both with other people at the time, and I had to break up with my boyfriend at the time.
And
But one of the things that I think we got to talking earlier on was the history between the U.S. and the Philippines. And you were a PhD graduate of University of Chicago, knew nothing
Yep.
about it.
Yep, I remember that, being sort of smacked in the face with my ignorance, and typical of other people like me in this country, not knowing the real history of the country. So by the time we left each other, that extended weekend, and had made plans to get together again, particularly over Christmas, that I would come and spend time with you, I knew I needed to get up to speed quickly. So I started doing research on U.S.-Philippine colonial relations, reading Jose Rizal.
No limitang hare.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, you came and read me a poem about
which
that.
I just happen to have here.
Well, I haven't heard you read it in a long time, so
Sure. Yeah.
okay. Can you?
Yeah.
I
So
would
part
like
of
to hear it again.
part of what I had been doing in Detroit is
Because this is the real clincher for me. After you read that poem, I said,
I had to pass a number of tests with you. It's still trying to
although
pass
within
them.
24 hours, I think we both knew, right?
Yeah, for me, I had been in and out of relationship, but never committing, and my friends had watched that pattern and challenged me about it, and I'd even done some work on it therapeutically, but also had that voice in my head that said, "You haven't met the right one yet." And when I met you, I knew very quickly that you matched a lot of what I was looking for, that there was certainly the physical attraction, there was intellectual compatibility and sharing of that as an interest and a vocation, similar spiritual values, similar political values, and a robust personality that could tell me to go jump when I needed to hear that, which was crucial to me. I really wanted a peer, and you were it. Boy, all of it was there.
And I knew that about you too.
Yeah.
But when I tell this story to my students, and I would tell them, when I told Jim about about the history between our two countries, how the U.S. invaded the Philippines and killed 1.4 million, massacred 1.4 million of our people out of a population of just about 6.5 million. And his response was, "Well, that happened a long time ago, and besides, I have nothing to do with it, right?" And they said, No. Why? I would ask, because if that were the case, you wouldn't be married to him now. And they knew.
Yeah, because that history was right there throbbing between us when we're sitting together or hugging each other or walking together, and I knew from my experience in Detroit over at that point in time, we're talking almost 30 years of being schooled by black humor and black anger about white supremacy and settler colonialism, and having to come to grips with that continually. So here was a new theater of those relations that I needed to get up to speed. And I had become a spoken word poet over the years in Detroit, and often would process my experience in a poetic vein, and so figured I would put what I was learning out as an offering, and called it Lee's Song, the first attempt. You remember?
Yes.
Where did I read this to you the first time? In your living room?
Yeah.
In your apartment?
In my apartment.
So here we go. How many years later? 20 years? It is. It's 20, almost 20 years later.
Earlier.
Later now that
Later,
we're doing
yeah.
it. Yeah. It is night over the grasses. The mountain bird is quiet. The wind like an ancient lost lover meandering. The island is a green feather on the back of God. You were born from a single beat of the heart that began that world. The turtle looked up when you drew your first breath. The sky was indigo and quivering silence. But the day was foreign, broken by foreigners. It was war in the fields, over the cities, war beneath the cruel word of kindness, sinking deep into the belly with poison, and you took it all unsuspecting, drinking with your heart, draining the cup, not feeling the lie until the blood showed. You cried, and their name appeared on your lip. You obeyed, and it was your debasement. You saw the trap in your tiny dark burrow and carefully hid your diamond tongue. Hands became your coin, your trade, soft and softening, caressing the trouble, soothing the broken skin, mending the bone they could have broken, until you retched. And your mama's face cut your lung, and your grandmother looked straight through your intestine. Your people climbed up your gullet with blood on their tongues, and you spoke, retching, and understood sickness in being sick, and cursed it. You climbed through the night into the deception of noon, and found the lie white with fever, and knew all bones pale, all throats dark with unborn moons. You groaned, and the horizon quavered a little. You found ice in your eye, severing heads and governments, and you were no longer you, but a groundswell. You knew the long whale covered in dirt and banana leaves, pushing up concrete on your back, fighting bullets with song, dying and never dead, the note trembling. And now the name glitters 1,000,000 strong in your hesitant breath. You speak many and shake in your slender courage. You labor with history in your loins, a volcano in your leg, a banyan tree wrapping your spine. Your words are grapes and wrath. Your trembling touch tumbles walls. It is I who fall. I fall inside my people. I have been falling for a century before your pointing finger. I fall outside. Only in your burning have I discovered my seed is released by fire, and now I am fire and burning, and there's a world to be cleared by flame and kisses, by tears like rivers of ancestors, and your tongue names it, and my heart wills it, and the gods dream it and wait for us.
Still gets me.
Me too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, baby.
So how could I not be with you after that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should probably read that every week, huh?